Hello everyone! Oh no! You're watching the Christiana321. I am the Christiana and let's do this. I didn't have my apple before, so I had to go. Alright, so I had this idea for a video since like at least summer of 2020, so I'm gonna go and like get back in that mindset. There was kind of a lot of people talking about, oh, it's just a few bad apples. And that got me thinking, what? First of all, how many bad apples are you allowed to have in like certain positions, you know? 0.25. So like, you have a bad apple for like one bad apple, a very small portion of the time before you realize, oh wait, that shit's a bad apple. Let's throw it in the garbage or, you know, not give it a gun. Where does the phrase, a few bad apples, come from? There's evidence that this phrase or a variant of it has been used as far back as 1340, probably since before that, because as we know, like, we've had apples since before that and fruit since before that, and so this concept was probably known, at least amongst farmers, that one bad apple spoils the bunch. The first like known use of this phrase that we have is a bad apple quickly infects its neighbor. And then over the years, the phrase evolved and evolved, and then like by the 18th century, it was pretty much how we know it of one bad apple spoils the bunch or spoils the barrel. And then the Osmonds, and maybe some other people, but the band The Osmonds in 1970 had a song called One Bad Apple. They kind of turned the phrase on its head. So the song's about one of the guys in the band is trying to get this girl, but she's been hurt before. So I'll just read some of the lyrics. I can tell you've been hurt by the look on your face, girl. Some guy brought sad into your happy world. You need love. But you're afraid that if you give in, someone else will come along and suck it to you again. So then it goes into the chorus. One bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl. I'll give it one more try before you give up on love. One Bad Apple by the Osmonds. And like, it's a cute song about like, don't give up hope. Like, just because somebody was kind of awful doesn't mean everybody's kind of awful, which is a story that we hear in various forms nowadays, but it's not really one that we're going to go into today. So we can examine how it's used in modern day, as far as like the using it as an excuse that, hey, one bad apple doesn't spoil a whole bunch. That's wrong. And in English and in most languages, words mean things, and you can't just change what those things mean because you have a specific narrative that you want to like put out there. So I'm gonna like rein in some of that side of it, and we're gonna talk about the science. Why does one bad apple spoil the bunch? Because hey, guess what? One bad apple does actually spoil the whole bunch. Basically, the whole reason one bad apple spoils the bunch is because of ethylene gas, which is chemical formula C2H4. Fruit and vegetables and some various other plants that we don't eat as much produces an ethylene hormone when it's time to grow up. And it produces this at various stages of its life cycle. It's got a bit of a sweet taste, and so it helps ensure that the seed of the fruit is going to be eaten and the species will proliferate, because then that animal that ate the fruit will poop it out somewhere else. But it also, you know, makes the fruit age faster, which is why if you have a particular fruit that you, or vegetable, that you want to like ripen, you get an avocado from the store and it's, you know, it's got a very small lifespan for when it's good to consume. So you get it when it's like nowhere near ripe. So when you're ready to eat the avocado, or like the day before, you put the avocado in a paper bag. You might put it in a bag with an apple or one of the fruit that produces a lot of ethylene to help the avocado get to the ripened state when you want it to. So if you didn't know that trick, now you know. And basically the way it works is the ethylene gas gets trapped in the paper bag, so it's more concentrated around the avocado or whatever piece of fruit you're trying to get to the right ripening state. And it helps it ripen quicker. Don't do this with a plastic bag because then it will also trap the moisture and then the fruit will also rot faster. Unless that's what you're going for, but I mean, live your life. This is true for fruit as well as some fruit as well as some vegetables. Some plants are less reactive to ethylene gas and they also produce less of it. Specifically berries produce it in smaller amounts. So you don't have to worry about one bad blueberry ruining the bunch. And frankly, if that is the direction that people are trying to use this biological concept to spread the message that one unfortunate individual in a group of people isn't ruining the rest of the individuals in that group, then don't talk about bad apples, talk about bad blueberries. I mean, don't, because blueberries are amazing, and although with the whole protect the blue and the thin blue line and all of that, it's a better metaphor all around, so why aren't we using it? By we, I don't mean me because I don't really agree with the concept, but I'm not trying to get political here. So we'll leave that as it is. And maybe one day we'll talk about how, if you don't want one bad apple ruining your whole barrel, then maybe you could do some checks on each of the apples to see if, they're bad, or at their previous barrel, did they have a history of using their power in ways that would not be good for the general public. But we're not going to get into that, don't worry. Basically, yes, one bad apple does ruin the whole bunch because it starts producing more ethylene the further it gets in its life. And as it gets further in its life, it produces more ethylene, and then that affects the apples around it. Then they start rotting, and then they produce more ethylene, and then you got a bunch of bad apples. If you like this video, like it. If you want me to try and do a bit of a deep dive on other idioms throughout history and whether or not they're scientifically accurate, let me know in the comments below which ones you would want me to look into, and of course, subscribe. I make a lot of bookish content, but then also sometimes I just get curious about random stuff. Have a good night, sweet dreams, and I will see you next week with a really weird video that I'm pretty damn nervous about making. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine.